But you know what? Religion was quoted to them. I have students that want to come to me. They come to me and they study Deen. They study Arabic with me, and they study Islamic studies with Sheikh Abdul Nasir. They come to Texas from all over the United States. And when I teach them and they learn something, then they come to me, Ustad. And these are sisters in hijab, and they've traveled to study, and they've memorized Qur'an. And Ustad, there's this one hadith. It hurt me so much. I'm sorry to say it. I don't know another way to say it. It just hurt me so much. I was like, tell me, what hadith is it? And she tells me the hadith, and I'm sitting there like, who did you hear this from? Because it's not the hadith that's imbalanced. It's not the ayah that's imbalanced. It's the guy representing it. The guy teaching it. The person who doesn't have balance themselves is going to paint the entire religion in a corrupt way, meeting their own, or in light of their own personal psychological problems. And what that's done for an entire generation of Muslims is it scared them away from Islam. A balanced approach to religion, if you don't have it, you're going to see an exodus from the religion. You're going to see people running from the religion. You have, the hadith of, Umaymah radiallahu ta'ala anha. She comes and complains to the Prophet ﷺ. And actually, this is a famous hadith. I'll tell you one part of it. And I sat with Sheikh actually, he's the gem over here. You have Sheikh Abdullah Adhami, about this hadith. And he explained this to me. And I was in tears, like, you have to come to our campus and explain this to our students. And he said, he can't travel. So you're lucky, he can't even travel. He's here. You're just lucky. So anyway, I'm talking about this hadith, and this hadith is used to quote or to tell people that women should pray in the innermost part of their home. The most private part of your home, that's where you're supposed to pray. Okay? And this is hadith used to justify that women shouldn't come to the masjid. They should pray in the innermost part of their home. You study the entire hadith, first of all, there are other hadith also. Other hadith where women complain to the Prophet ﷺ, we come for Salatul Fajr. Where do they come? Al-Masjid al-Nabawi. We come to Salatul Fajr. But on our path, on our way, there is sewage. So it gets on our clothes. Can we stay home and pray? He said, no, the rest of the dirt on the way will wipe it off because you should still come. And that's Fajr for women that have to go through sewage to come to pray at the masjid. We don't quote that one. By the way, Umaymah's story, this woman who the Prophet told you should pray in the innermost part of your home, when she asked to pray at the masjid, when you learn the whole story, you learn lots of fun things. She was in a troubled marriage. Her husband was super jealous of her, like protective of her. He used to poke her while she prayed. Yep. And the Prophet called, because she came to the Prophet in another narration, she came to him and said, he pokes me while I pray. And so he asked her, why do you do that? He goes, she stole my surahs. In other words, he led her in prayer. She heard his Qur'an. She memorized it. She started praying on her own. He's like, she's praying all by herself. I'm not leading her in prayer. And actually, he felt left out that she was praying on her own. So he used to poke her in salat. And then when he comes to the masjid to pray, he gets really angry because he's so obsessed with his wife. He can't spend 10 minutes without her. So the fact that she's in the masjid, it just drives him crazy. He just wants her with him all the time. So the Prophet ﷺ told her, look, you need to save your marriage first, basically. Your marriage is in shambles at this point. You need to spend more time at home. And currently, the better thing for you is not to come to the masjid. And by the way, in order that he doesn't poke you, find the innermost part of your home to pray, so that at least you can pray in peace because he's driving you nuts. Now, if you don't know the background and you say women should pray in the innermost part of their home, and somebody who's got like a psychological disorder against women, and he gets married and he's yelling at his wife because she didn't pray in the closet, and he pulls out the hadith, he's got the dalil, he's got the evidence, but there's no balance. This is not balance. You see? It's funny, but it's also really, really sad. People's lives are ruined in the name of deen. In the name of deen. This deen that came to remove sadness. This deen that came to provide human beings the opportunity to live a balanced life in everything that they do.